Hello all and welcome back to DEP TV. Thank you very much for coming back. I've been away for a while, but I'm back now. Feeling a little bit better, so I'm well enough to come and do some stuff like this. So what we're going to be doing today? Well, today we're coming into the winter time, so we want to be protecting the vehicles with whatever protection we can. So today I have a selection of 4 different type of protectants. So we're going to apply them to the Hyundai just to see how it looks, see how it goes. And we're going to be using a paste wax, a liquid wax, a graphene detailer, and we're going to be using just a spray-on sealant. We'll see how they go on. We will see how they do at protecting the vehicle with some beading and sheeting clips towards the end. We'll see how they're applied and all that kind of good stuff. So without further ado, let's get going. So here are the 4 products we're going to be using, guys. We're going to be using a paste wax, which is the graphene wax, which is here. We're going to be using a liquid wax, which is the Meguiar's Deep Crystal Carnauba wax, which is there. We're going to be using a spray-on graphene detailer. Now this is an infinity wax one. I've tried this before. It is really good. It is meant to complement the graphene wax, but we're going to see how it works as a standalone sealant. And then this on the end, which is the infinity wax express sealant. We're going to be using it as a spray-on wipe-off type method to apply it. Technically speaking, you should be applying it to a damp vehicle. We'll see if we can get that, and we'll see what happens. So we've got an array of waxes, we've got an array of microfibers to remove it, we've got some sponges to put it on. So on the bonnet here, I don't know if you can actually see it, but we do have some water spotting on this bonnet here. We're going to try and get the water spots off as well at the same time. The car was cleaned yesterday, it has been sat overnight, but I think we'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tape off 4 sections, and then we're going to get into applying these products, and we'll see how they behave once we hit some water with them when they're all done. So let's get applying them. So what we're doing here, guys, is we're just going to break this into 4, because we've got 4 products sitting here. So we're going to mark it into 4 separate sections, and we're going to put these over. So we'll put the graphene over this side, we will put the Carnauba wax over this side. We'll put the liquid sealant in here, and we'll put the other graphene over here. That way we keep the graphene apart. Alrighty, so we'll get this last bit taped up. There we go, so we're all taped up, so let's get applying. So we're going to apply the graphene wax with a sponge. And we'll be using this short pile to remove it, and then we'll use a longer pile to buff over after. So this is the graphene wax. Let's get some on here. It should be enough for this whole panel. Some people will be shouting, you shouldn't be doing it in circles like that. Well, do you know what, guys, it works, so I'm doing it like this. Now the graphene wax you can apply to the paint, as I'm showing you here. You can also apply it to the plastics, but we're not going to do that today. So there we go. I always give it a little light over the top just to make sure. Now the setting, the curing time for this is around about 5 minutes or so, so we'll get on and put the rest of these on before we come back to buff it off. So we'll get the same type of sponge and we'll put on the Meguiar's Deep Crystal Carnauba wax. This has been sitting in my garage for quite a while, this one. So we'll put that much on, we'll dot it about and spread it on. Easy as that. Now, there is some water spots on this bonnet, purposely, because I want to see if these waxes will remove the water spots which are on the vehicle. So far, at the moment, it looks like this Meguiar's is actually taking away all the water spots which were on the vehicle. But we'll see how that works. It didn't do it at all with the graphene wax, but again, we're not here to take the water spots away. We'll just see how it works. So that's the Carnauba wax applied. We'll leave that again to go to a haze, and we'll move on to the express sealant. So this has been mixed up at 5:1 in this bottle. I'm going to spray it onto here because I don't want to contaminate any of the other areas, so I'm just going to spray it onto here before I spread it about. So there you go, we have some on here, and we're just going to lightly rub it on all over, like so. Again, this isn't removing any of the water spots, but we're not here to get rid of the water spots, we're just here to see how this stuff performs. So I am told leave that one for 30 seconds, so we'll get that one very, very quickly. But before that, we're going to quickly put on the Graphene QDX. So we have Graphene QDX. I'm going to put this on in a very similar way to the spray sealant. I'm going to spray it onto here and I'm going to spread it about, and I'm going to let it cure for a little while. So there we have a load on here. I don't know if you can see it moving. We will put it on with the sponge, spread it all over because it goes quite far. Okay, now we'll leave that a couple of minutes to cure again. But first things first, we're going to wipe off the express sealant. So we'll get a clean microfiber and we'll just wipe this off. Easy as that, as a plane goes over my head. So now, like I say, this isn't the preferred way to put this on. The preferred way to put this on is to spray it onto a wet vehicle and then rinse it off. But we'll see if it will still work this way. Okay, so that is the express sealant wiped off. Let's get another towel and we'll wipe off the QDX. So QDX, it's been on here now for a couple of minutes, probably about 4 or 5 minutes. Morning. So we'll give this a wipe off. Flip the towel over, give it another quick wipe. Very, very slick, this stuff, very slick, very nice. Okay, so that is that one off. It's got a nice buff to it. Again, it's very nice, as you can see. Very slick, very nice. Right, so how are we getting on with the other ones? The other ones are starting to haze over now, which is quite good. So the other two are now starting to haze over slightly, which is quite good. So we're going to give these a buff off. So first things first, get a buffing towel, nice clean one, and give it a buff. Okay, so that bit's buffed. Cut it over. There we go, that's looking rather good. Nice and shiny. I've got to say so far though that the QDX Graphene is so much better at the moment. Okay, and now we'll get onto the graphene wax, so we'll wipe this off. Let's put that there, just be careful because that's a glass bottle. Make sure we've got a nice clean part of the towel. Now this has probably been on here curing now for approximately 10 minutes, but that's mainly because the temperature outside today isn't the best. And it's about 10 degrees. It is nice and cloudy though, so it's good for polishing. It's a bit grabby today. I might have put it on slightly too thick. But let's rub this off. So we've levelled that off. Now this has not taken off any of the water spots. The other three have done a decent job of taking off all the water spots. They really have. So there's that one buffed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an extra soft buffing, an extra soft towel, and we're just going to go over everything again just to make sure we've got off all the excess. That's one done. Flip the towel. Wow, that's the Maguire's. That's pretty slick as well. That's really good. Okay, now we'll move on to the other two. So we'll flip the towel around and give the Express Sealant a buff. Again, this one's not as slick. If you go into this one, that's a lot better. So far, the Maguire's is the best out of these four. So that's that one done. Flip it over and we'll do the graphene. QDX, what are they calling it? I think it's just a detailing spray. QDX detailing spray. But it is absolutely brilliant. It's so slick. Great product, this graphene detailer. Now, I'm not sure on the longevity of all these products, to be perfectly fair, but I can only assume that the graphene wax is going to have decent kind of longevity on it. I would probably say 6 to 8 months, I would think. The Maguire's carnauba wax, I'm not 100% sure. Again, probably about 6 months, 6 months to 8 months. The spray sealant is only going to give you a few weeks, in my opinion. Maybe 3 to 6 weeks, depending on how often you use the car. The graphene detailer should be a good couple of months, 2 to 3 months at least. But like I say, for slickness, the graphene is the best, definitely. The graphene detailer is the best, not the graphene wax, the graphene detailer. That's not too bad. The carnauba wax, excellent. Slightly more grabby than the graphene detailer. But I have to say that the graphene wax, I'm not 100% convinced on it. But the protection's there. So let's get rid of all these and we'll get a water test done. We'll see how they go with the sheeting and the beading. Right, so I'm going to have to go over these lines because there's a little bit of graphene got stuck underneath them. So we'll need to get that done. But that's okay. We'll just use the cloth that we used to remove it. So we'll get rid of this graphene. There we go. Let's give it a little buff all the way up. We'll take it to a new side of the cloth. It's got nothing on it, and we'll just give this other one a little wipe up as well. There we go. Right. Let's have a look and see how this goes with the water behaviour. So first of all, give it a light misting so we can see how the, oh, that's fine, we're getting some runs already. Some light misting to see how everything stays. So So straight away, there's a huge difference between the graphene wax and all the other things that I've used. Look how tight these beads are on the graphene wax. So these beads are really tight, they're really good. There's quite a bit of runoff. As soon as you move over to the carnauba wax, the beads get much bigger, much bigger. In fact, they're the same all the way across, to be perfectly fair, from there on in. But these graphene beads are phenomenal. So as we go across here, you can see the different beads from the different beads from the start, and then they're very similar all the way along to the end here. So let's give it a good soaking and see how that looks. So yeah, there's a little bit of a difference in here. So let's go back to this again. Let's go and give it another good soaking. So if we go back to these two, so the graphene detail on this side is bunched up a lot smaller. So the beads are bunched up a lot smaller, whereas the sealant, the express sealant, is just ran off. So it's just sheeted more or less straight off with big beads on it. The carnauba wax has done a pretty good job of beading and sheeting, to be perfectly fair. That looks pretty decent. And the graphene wax has still got the tiny little beads at the top, but it's sheeting off quite the thing. So let's give it another go. Look at that, guys, look at that. Straight off. Nice big beads collecting the water and then running straight down and running straight off the vehicle. So this is the section here that had the carnauba wax. Doesn't sheet off as good as the graphene wax. As you can see, the beads just stay. So if I do the same action on the graphene wax, they all clump together and they all run off, which is really good protection, really good protection. So again, the carnauba wax down the middle, it does a little bit, but it's nice big beads, and it has got some protection on there. So let's go back to the sealant, express sealant, which was this bit here, and pull it back down. Again, it's pretty decent, to be fair. Pretty decent, to be fair. And then let's go to the graphene detailer. Again, very similar to the graphene wax at the other end, where it just collects all the beads and just runs straight off. There is quite a collection of larger beads up here, to be perfectly fair. But in general, I have to say, and I hate saying this, but the paste wax, even though it's slightly harder to go on, a little bit grabby to come off, is, out of those four, the best wax, in my opinion, for protection of your vehicle. The beads are smaller, it sheets off a lot quicker. The others are great, to be perfectly fair. For ease of application and slickness, it's got to be the graphene detailer on that side. But for pure protection and also longevity protection, it's got to be the graphene paste wax on that side. Give it another go just while we're here. So yeah, so they all offer some sort of protection, but I have to say the graphene wax is the best. And another thing that just came to mind while I was doing this is I've got myself another Autosmart drying towel, and we're going to see how easy this dries off. Now I've done the other two and that was pretty easy. So let's see how the graphene wax and the carnauba wax, this is the waxes, so let's see how the waxes make it easier to dry. Now there's no drying aids on this is just watered down, and I'm about to give it a dry off. That's pretty decent. I mean, this is a decent towel anyway. The only thing I am disappointed about, and I'll show you a close-up of this in a little second, is the fact that the graphene wax has not removed any of the water spots that were on this bonnet, yet all the other stuff has. So I don't know if you can see these in here, but we do have some water spotting on the vehicle, but on the rest of the vehicle they've all been taken away. All the other products took them all away, which is quite good, to be perfectly honest. And all four have left the bonnet looking nice and glossy, nice and shiny, to be perfectly honest, with decent protection. But while we're on the subject of winter protection, there's one part of the car that everyone forgets, so let's get on to that one.
Do you have the tablet?
Do I have the tablet? Not that I'm aware of.
I was told to come check.
So yeah, the one thing we can't forget in the winter is windscreen protection. Now I'm going to be using a really good glass sealant that I've been using for quite a number of years now, and it's the Infinity Wax Diamond Vision. Essentially, it puts a coating on your glass, and I'll show you the results in a minute. But we've done the paintwork, so we're just going to do the windshield, the windscreen, wherever you're from in the world. So I'm going to show you how I put it on, the application process of it, and then that is basically this whole part of this car ready for the winter, because this does probably have a good 2 to 3 months performance in it, because I've used it for a while. Depends how much you use your wipers, but yeah, let's put this on. So first things first, we're just going to spray it on the windscreen, and we're going to spread it about with the orange microfiber, just to give it a bit of an even coat. So that's for this half. So we get the microfiber. I'm just going to push it across backwards and forwards, just to make sure everything is covered. Okay, and we'll let that sit for a couple of minutes. And just, you can see how a lot of the stuff inside it evaporates away. So we'll leave that on for a minute or two. We'll let that kind of haze over. Then we'll buff it off. As you can see in here, it's starting to flash. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for it to start to flash. And what we're going to do is we're going to buff it off, and we'll go over it again with another dry towel, just to make sure everything's off. You can reapply this, but they don't recommend reapplying for maybe an hour after this has been on, just so it's cured. But we're going to be doing a water test anyway, so. And you can see when you buff, you see it all coming away. It's nice and easy, comes straight off, no hassles. Right, so head round to the other side, we'll buff that off. It also shows you the imperfections inside the glass. It's probably still a bit dirty because it needs cleaned. So there we have that completely buffed off, and we'll turn this towel round and we'll go over it again. Oh, look, a plane. It's great living on the flight path for Glasgow Airport. Okay, so we're right in the corners. That's all buffed off. Let's leave it 10 minutes and then we'll go over it with the water and see how the water behaviour is. Right, let's see how this performs with some water. So again, we're just going to use a light spray. Amazing. Let's get that from a different angle. Look at the way that water just runs straight off. Absolutely amazing. So guys, we've come to the end of the video. So we've come to a slight conclusion. For a glass, the best stuff you can use is the Diamond Vision. It's amazing. It's, for want of a better word, it's like the Rain-X stuff that you used to buy, just professional grade that can be bought by anyone. So that stuff is absolutely fantastic. But when we get onto the bonnet, let's have a go through these. They were all very, very easy to apply. They were all easy to remove, apart from the graphene paste wax, which was a little bit grabby. But I'm going to forgive that because of how it behaved in the water test. The beads in that were so good. They were really, really, really good. And the sheeting was phenomenal as well. All the products I used were good in their own way. But if I had to use one, or I had to make a recommendation for somebody that cleans their car every week, I mean religiously every week, even the weekend warrior, that stuff is amazing. The Infinity Wax Express Sealant. You put it on every week, you're going to have no issues. For the person that maybe does it every couple of weeks, I would recommend the Infinity Wax QDX Graphene Detailing Spray. This is going to give you slightly longer protection if you can't clean your car every week. And the slickness and the shine off this is absolutely amazing. So that would be my third choice. My second choice is going to have to be the Macquarie's Deep Crystal Carnauba Wax, and that is just because it's so easy to put on, it's so easy to remove. It was really, really, really slick when you buffed it off. Just the longevity of it, I don't think matches up to my number one, which is the Infinity Wax Graphene Wax. Easy to put on. I think I probably put a little bit too much on because it was grabby coming off. A little bit slightly longer cure time than the others, I would think. But once you buffed it off, it does leave a good shine, even if it doesn't remove the water spots like the other three did. But that's my fault. It is great value for money. It comes in this big pot, which is a 200ml pot. It also comes in, I think, a 50ml pot. I'll put all the links to everything that I've used in the description down below for these, everyone. But yeah, my pick for my winter protection on my vehicle, which is this one, has got to be the Infinity Wax Graphene Wax. Go along to the Infinity Wax website, guys, and grab yourself some. It is really, really, really good stuff. And you've seen the water behaviour, you've seen how it worked. It was absolutely amazing. So, I think at that, guys, we will just wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. I'm glad to be back, feeling a hell of a lot better than I did before. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe and share. It really does help the channel to grow. We're not huge, we're about 1,500 subscribers, but if we can get up, we can get up. That's the way it goes. Try and put some more content out there for you very, very shortly, guys, but it has been absolutely phenomenal. But do I have to do this? Yeah, I think I have to do this. It's the kind of slogan of the channel, isn't it? It's time to go!